everyone. Welcome to another episode of 50 Shades of Over 50. Now, this episode is going to be so amazing. You do not want to leave your seat. We're going to be talking about sex. Yes. And I have the midlife sex coach, Dr. Sonia. She's going to be talking about all things sex for women, specifically 50 and beyond. So, I'd like to welcome Dr. Sonia. Yay!
Yay! Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, Kwabi.
You are welcome. So tell the viewers a little bit about you before we go into our discussion.
Sure. I'm Dr. Sonia Wright. I am the midlife sex coach for women. I am a medical doctor, a sexual counselor, and a life coach. I am a master certified life coach. Let's celebrate that, y'all. And I've also worked in a sex toy store in the past. So I kind of bring those things all together. And I help women create the sexual intimacy of their lives, what they want from now and for the next 40, 50 years of their lives.
Love, love, love it. So one of the questions I always ask all my guests is, how old are they? So how old are you?
I'm 55.
Yay! So listen, I always want to bring people that can speak about their experiences, have knowledge with through their patients and their clients' experiences. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's kind of talk about this. What are some of the things you hear when it comes to being over 50? Because we hear all kinds of things like, sex is no longer, an option, but we know it is. So tell me few of the myths that we can dispel here.
Well, I think that people have myths, like there's ageism out there, like this concept that people over 50 are not engaging in sexual intimacy and they're too old to, have sexual, let's get real, pubic hair can't be gray. We have these concepts.
Thank you. All right. So I'm sure some of you are like, oops.
I'm clutching the pearls right now, right? It's going to be that kind of a talk. Let's start.
Yes.
So ageism is real, right? And it's not even, it's internal ageism. What we are saying about ourselves as we get older is equally as important as what anybody else is saying and thinking out there, right? So as a midlife sex coach, I am just so dedicated to blowing up people's minds around sex and sexuality and really letting it be about what they want and finding the pleasure. A lot of women particularly are willing to let it go because it hasn't been pleasurable for them. It's been more of a duty that they have to do. And when they work with me and they realize, oh, wait, this can be about me. First, they don't understand, first they're like, I don't understand about pleasure. I don't get that. Is that really, can I have permission to have pleasure? What, and then we're like, well, what do you like? And they're like, I don't know what I like. I'm just so focused on my partner all the time. Right. And so having to go through this process of learning what they like, what their body is about, understanding.
I love that.
Is this. So we have to educate ourselves or re-educate ourselves and then go from there.
Oh, I love that. It's kind of like exploring new things. Oh, goodness, I love it. Yeah. So tell me, why did you decide to go into this, specific area?
Let's get real. I ended up in a sexless marriage. I ended up in a situation where for a number of years, I was not having any sexual intimacy. And I kept thinking, this is the great shame of my life, right? I'm not going to let anybody else know. So I got to the point where I was driving to work crying. I was in the shower crying, and then I did not know what to do. I felt like I should know somehow, because I'm a doctor, I should know. I should know what to do. I should have the great relationship. I should have the great family. I should have the great job. And it all looked good on the outside. And then when you get to this place where you're like, I don't care if it looks good on the outside. I want it to look good on the inside. And so then I went and did some sex therapy went to see a counselor and got the help that I needed. Unfortunately, the relationship didn't make it through because there was too many years of resentment and anger, lack of communication. Because usually when the sexual intimacy goes, there's a lot of other things that are not there as well, right?
True.
And so, but I decided, well, even though the relationship didn't last, I can't take this version of Sonia into another relationship.
Oh,
that's work I need to do on myself.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm very clear that it wasn't like I'm not blaming my ex-partner. It was a lot of stuff that I had to deal with. Just point the finger at me and say, and so I did the work on myself so that I could show up as the next version of myself that was ready for sexual intimacy.
Yeah.
And I also was like, well, I can have difficult conversations. And I was already a life coach in 2016. So I was like, if I can help anybody else in this area, let's do this. If I could save anybody else's marriage, let's do this.
I love that. So you're coming from, the standpoint of, I understand what you guys are going through. Let's have those conversations. Like, what is it? And then you worked in a sex toy shop. I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, like when I decided I wanted to be a sex coach, I didn't want to just be able to tell them, like, come from one perspective, right? And like I had the medical knowledge, so I was lucky in that way. And then I had the life coaching, which I think is really essential.
Yes.
And then I brought it in the sexual counseling training that I got and the education I got in that area. But I didn't want to be like, yeah, you should probably look into your own pleasure and find some toys. Good luck with that, right? I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. Because then that leaves you people like, well, where do I go? How do I find this? What does this look like, right? And so to add in that section and that information, it's also very pivotal as well. So
yeah. So for instance, let's paint a scenario here. You have a woman who is in her 50s, maybe even 60s or 70s, and is thinking, you know what? I want more sex in my marriage.
Yeah.
It's non-existent right now. What's the first step for someone like that?
The first step, like, is not jumping into the bed and like going for it. The first step, like I would say that sexual intimacy is built on intimacy, which is built on a foundation of communication. We got to start with that foundation. We got to get to that place where, excuse me, I might cough. So if I cough, I say, excuse me.
Oh, that's fine. Come on. That's human. We're human.
So it's like that communication. We have to get that communication in there and be okay with having the difficult conversations. Be okay with bringing up the subject, right? Because it's there anyway, whether you want to, talk about it or not. It's the big elephant in the room. So like, trying to be okay, Yeah,
it's hard. And I think at this age, it's almost as if, oh no, women in their 50s and beyond should not be. It's almost like this unspoken statement that we should not be having. I'm like, but why? Why not?
This is when you have the best sex of your life, right?
You heard it from Dr. Sonia.
It's for no other reason than for your pleasure.
That's it. Because let's face it, it's not like you're trying to have kids at this point.
Like that system is shut down or just about shut down, right?
Just about shut down.
Like, then you start asking yourself, is this something I want to do? But recognize that this is the time that we make this decision and it has ramifications for the future. So if you're making this decision now, recognize you're making this decision. It can be reversed. It can be changed. I don't want you to think that it can't be.
Yeah.
But it's going to impact the years that come.
Yes.
And so, and if you're sitting there, any of you thinking that sex can't be good because you're in your 50s, let me tell you, like the best sex of my life. So it's just like forget the 40s,
forget the past. And we're creating a new future, and it's really way more exciting than your past. So let's go.
I'm also going to tell you that it may not be easy. It may be something you have to work at. And we have this concept about sex being spontaneous and we don't need to work at anything and it just happens and it looks like Bridgerton, Let me tell you, it looks like, where's the lube? Who's got the lube?
You have it? I thought you had it. No, you don't.
Lube better be in every damn room and in every damn drawer, right?
And make sure you keep them in different places. But let's go to the lube section. So that is something that's common as we get older. It's not as.
Yeah. And it's a reality. So like we might have a concept of what sex is in our mind or what it was, right? And society likes to reinforce those concepts with stupid ideas that are not reality either, right? And so we're fighting against these things these stories that are being told to us as to what sex is supposed to be, right? Yeah. I love erotica. I love TVs and movies and whatever.
Yeah.
And romantic novels, but all of that works against because we start reading these things. And if you time like a sex scene, like it's like 2 seconds flat, they're on the ground, they're going at it, so we're like, my sex doesn't look like that. So like something's wrong with me or with my sex.
Oh, okay. Can you just touch on that? See, and I want all of you to listen to what she just said. when you see images like that, you now begin to think that something is wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of thinking something's wrong with that. Or, it's just recognizing that it's a fantasy, that it's just
Mm,
meant to sell something, whether it be a program or some product or whatever, but it's not reality. Just like pornography, if you watch pornography, Lord
mhm.
help us, our children are learning about sex from pornography. They're never gonna, like, they think that this happens in 2 seconds, that you pound away at people. And like nobody's sitting there
Nope.
talking about the clitoris. And
Nope.
yeah,
Nope.
so like if that's what's happening, then we need to recognize that's entertainment. These books,
Yes.
novels, these movies, whatever, it's entertainment, it's not reality. And it's
Yeah.
okay if you got to squirt the lube on and squirt it again and squirt it
Yeah.
again. It's okay if you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not getting the pleasure I want, could we switch positions? It's okay
Mhm.
to be like, can I bring a toy in? Can I bring in my
Mhm.
vibrator? Because yeah,
Yeah.
all of that is okay. Because
Yeah.
if you're enjoying yourself, you're going to have more sex and everybody's going to be happier.
Right. Oh, I still love that. That is so true. So, what are some of the things that women can start to do? Like you've talked about the lube. Are there some other things that can kind of help us? Because, as we age, menopause sets in, there's certain things that we don't really have control over when it comes to our bodies.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, well, we need to be aware that, okay, so our bodies have not changed in millions of years, right?
mhm.
And it used to be that if you made it into your 30s and 40s, you were considered old, right? Like a saber-toothed tiger or some sort of disease was going to get you. So, like, you're usually reproducing in your late teens into your 20s, and then by your 30s and 40s, you're done, right? So, you didn't necessarily get to the other side of menopause.
Mm.
You're usually dead before that, right? But medicine has gotten so much better that we last longer now, right? And so now we're like, oh, wait, hey, we're going to be having sex and we don't necessarily have the estrogen and the
Yeah.
androgens. It's very important to understand that women need testosterone. We need the androgens
Yes.
as well. And so when we're postmenopausal, we've lost the estrogen, but we've lost the
Yes.
androgens as well too. And
Yes.
so we need to, whether or not you're having sex, when we're talking about vulva health, which is what we call,
Mm.
that includes your vagina, your clitoris, your inner lips, your outer lips. That's your vulva health area.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about vulva health, then we're also talking about reintroducing the hormones that we may have lost.
Mm.
And so whether you're having sex or not, for the health of your vulva, which also includes decreased risk of infections like a urinary tract infection and things like that, you may want to consider localized estrogen. Now, I'm a doctor.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
specifically your doctor or anybody that's listening to this. So this is something to check in with your doctor about. But
Interesting.
localized estrogen is kind of like vitamin E for the vulva area.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
so it's something to consider. You'll probably need to use there's like little tablets or little strings that have a little bit of estrogen that leaks out, or creams. And so that's something to take into consideration, because so many of us will have genital urinary syndrome of menopause, which is GSM, and it comes with like itching and pain,
Yes.
irritation, and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And whether you're having penetrative sex, you can imagine that all the tissue in the vulva region is going to atrophy and
Yeah,
shrink.
that's when it's drying up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not going to work as well. And you have this little teeny thing that's called your urethra, and that's
Mhm.
what the tube, the entrance or the opening from the tube from your bladder to the outside, right?
Mm.
Now you can imagine if that is staying the same size, but all the tissue around it is getting smaller and atrophy,
Ooh.
then it's going to poke out. And as it pokes out, it becomes more susceptible to infection and
Oh,
irritation and things
wow.
like that. So you can end up with urinary tract infections that you're not even aware of. And so we
Mm.
need to definitely take into consideration the health of our vulva. And that's one of the reasons to have some estrogen cream on the outside of your vulva area, and
Mhm.
then some estrogen cream or pill or whatever on within your
Yeah.
vagina. And that's something to check in with your OB-GYN if you're postmenopausal, because it becomes something that's important to know and to
Mm.
understand.
Wow. So are UTIs more common at
Yes.
this point? Oh, they are.
Yes,
Okay.
postmenopausal urinary tract infections are more common.
Mm.
And then also, like when we're talking about losing the estrogen and the androgens, we can get the situation where our vagina shrinks in size and length.
Mm.
So that's
Yes,
also
I've
something
heard
that you
that.
have to be aware of. And then this is where I always put a plug in for self-pleasure, because
Yes.
that increases the blood flow. You want to have increased blood flow to your vulva region. And so that helps increase blood flow as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. So are you saying that self-pleasure as opposed to sex or both help that area?
Any way you can get it. Any way
Okay.
you want to have fun, go for it.
Love it. Oh, okay. So you guys heard about, vitamin E for the V. So it's almost like vitamin E for the V. So let's go.
I always advocate self-pleasure no matter what, because women need to know and understand our bodies, and our bodies change. Things that we were stimulating us in the past may not do it now. And part of that, as we lose the estrogen, our nerve endings change as well. And so we do need to be aware of that we might need an increased stimulation as well.
Okay. So how do you help your clients? Like if there might be someone listening here like, you know what, I might need some help from this Dr. Sonia. How can they get in touch with you, and how do you help women?
Yeah, well, the easiest way to reach me is at my website, and that's soniawrightmd.com. You can always find me there. And then I'm a sex coach. I'm a life coach. I always put those together. So I do private coaching, either life coaching or sex coaching. And then I also run groups. And so I'll have a group that's starting in the middle of May. It's an Own Your Sexuality Now group. And we talk about all the topics. We look at what's going on with you right now, where you're headed. I love this group because like I have women in there that I haven't had sex with their partner in years, right? And we start this whole process. We look at what's going on right now. We talk about you as a sexual being, what's coming up for you in terms of ideas like good. It's amazing the thoughts. We might be 50, 60 years old, and we still had thoughts that were given to us when we were 10 or 12. Like good girls don't do that,
Yep.
And
Totally agree.
No good girls or bad girls. There's just amazing women, and you get to have pleasure, right?
Yes. Yes.
So we go through we look at anatomy and libido and prioritizing your needs and pleasure. And we just go, we have a section called the sexual smorgasbord. We do sections on toys. It's just so much fun. Yes.
Wow. I love the fact that you start from them, like they have to explore themselves first, which I think is important, because how would you know what you need if you haven't really explored your own pleasure? Like, what is it that you need for yourself? And also like the thoughts you have about yourself when it comes to sexuality. I think that's key.
Yes, I think it is. I mean, we have to give ourselves permission to decide that we're going to own the sexuality and to have pleasure from it. It becomes important. Yes.
Wow. This is just, so let's talk about libido. So typically women, and I don't know if this is typical, but women tend to say, after a certain age, libido is just, the interest just wanes. Is that true? Is that common? And if it is, what can we do about it?
Yeah, 70% of people function from a place of what they call responsive libido, and 30% function from a place of, on average, from a place that is more considered the spontaneous libido. Now, we only talk about the spontaneous libido. And so if you're not coming from that place of spontaneous libido, then you think something has gone wrong. But nothing really has gone wrong. If you're coming from a responsive libido, you're just in a place of neutrality. I'm a sex coach. I live in the responsive libido world. And you think that, what? I figured you'd be the one that's like ready and to go at all times. Like, but each time I got to remind myself that I actually like this.
All right. So for those listening that I'm not sure, can you explain to them what you mean by responsive libido and spontaneous libido?
Yeah. So spontaneous libido is kind of what we think of as libido, right? When we say we have libido, we don't have libido. We're usually talking about coming from this place where you wake up, you're in the mood for sex, you're looking at your partner like, hey, how you doing? Or you're looking at yourself like, you look damn good today. I think we have an appointment later, right? That's libido. Like that is the spontaneous libido. Right? But then there's like 70% of women function from this place of, I could do the dishes. I could possibly have sex, but the dishes, like if I did those dishes, then I have a stack of clean, sparkly dishes. If I do sex, what do I have? Because we forget every time, like, right after you have sex, you're like, why
that was good.
I That was so good, right? But then like 2 seconds later, we're like, squirrel, oh, dishes, we completely forget. And then we got to start all over again, reminding ourselves, right?
Yes.
So this place of neutrality where we're not as interested in in sex, and we forget about it, and we're coming from a place of neutrality. But we need to understand that nothing's actually gone wrong when we started this a place of neutrality. That's not a problem.
Yeah. Oh goodness, I love this, and I'm sure there are lots of women listening say, "Oh, so there's nothing wrong with me. This is perfectly okay."
It's 100% okay. 100%. Yeah.
Oh, love it. So, is there anything before we go that you'd want to share with women with regards to their own sexuality, or some advice you want to give to them before we go?
It's more like a question. What would you
Mm,
need in order to give yourself permission to prioritize yourself and your
mm,
pleasure? And so many
mm.
women are just kind of in the passenger's seat in this sexuality thing, and we're like waited to be taken down off the shelf. Like we're not in ownership of our sexuality. So what would it
Yeah.
take to put you in the driver's seat of your own
Mm.
sexuality? You get to do this. You get to explore. You get to figure out what you like. You get
Yes.
to like use the words to say, I would like it this way. Can we try this? It's okay if you like have to have the hard conversation. And it's
Yeah.
okay if you have to have it more than once, right? I like to tell people, it's okay, and like come at it as a team. If you're solo
Mm,
partnered, then talk to yourself, right? Because there's a
mm.
lot of women that are solo partnered and they think
Yes.
they no longer have sex because they don't have a partner. I'm here to give you all permission. You can have the best sex of your lives. Because let me tell you, like your best partner is always going to be you. Like there is
True.
direct feedback. You don't even got to say to the left, right?
Yeah.
You got to go to the left.
True.
It's so good. Like, so if you're solo partnered, that's fine. Make sure
Yeah.
you continue to have sexuality in your life. And if you are partnered and you're not getting the sex, the pleasure the way you want it, it's okay to speak up and recognize that you two are
Mm.
working as a team, two or more, hey, to working as a team in order to each find the pleasure that you deserve. But
Yeah.
ultimately, you're responsible for your own pleasure. They're responsible for their own pleasure. Come together, have some fun, and you get to do this.
Wow. I mean, I really love this. And so, women, you're listening. This, like, if it's not right now, when? When are you gonna keep waiting? Like, why? Why would you even want to wait? So, really, like Dr. Sonia said, speak up. Give yourself permission to go for the pleasure that you want, whatever it looks like to you. Because she said it right, correctly. You know yourself better than anyone else. So, what
Yeah.
is it that you want?
Yeah. If you need help with it, I am here to help you. Let me
Yeah.
tell
Oh
you,
my goodness.
I am here to help
Yes.
you in whatever way you need. We'll get this done and we'll have some fun doing it. Definitely.
Yes. And so what I'm going to do with I'm going to share the links to Dr. Sonia so you can, go check her out. If you need help, like why not ask for help? She's available and she does amazing work. So I'm just telling you, if you need help in this area, please seek her out. All right, Dr. Sonia, thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for listening, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to the show, you have to take a look at Flourish, my monthly online community for women in their 50s and beyond. We talk about the important issues affecting women in their 50s and over and provide tools and resources to help you live your best life. Join me by clicking the link Flourish Online Community in the About Me section below. I'd love to have you join me. See you there.